Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got a very interesting combo to try out that I think could give us some very nice looking results. At least in theory, this shell and choke combo should work rather well together, but we'll see what we can get since this whole entire setup is a little bit new when it comes to turkey patterning on the channel here anyway. But first up, for the shells that I brought today, I got out some more of the Winchester Longbeard XR loads, but these are the 12 gauge, 3 inch, 1 7/8 ounce payload of 5-shot, moving about 1,050 feet per second. We've tested our fair share of Longbeards over the years, and we know these can be a very good performing shell, but the 1 7/8 ounce payload ones can be a little bit finicky sometimes. You really got to get the right choke to truly get that nasty Longbeard pattern. Usually they're still pretty good, but we'll see how they do through today's choke, which should work with these pretty well. So for our setup today, I brought out my old Mossberg 500. It's got a 28-inch barrel on it, and we're going to be running a Carlson's Longbeard XR 660 constriction choke. We've tested this choke a number of times from Remington shotguns, and it's usually a pretty good performer as well, but we have not tested it from the Mossberg 500. And in theory, you've got a Longbeard XR choke with the actual Longbeard XR shells. Should work out well together, but we'll see how it performs. Before today's test, we're running it the same as usual. I've got the turkey target set up at 40 yards and the chrono so we can get our velocity. So let's get you guys a view of that target. We'll take our shot and we'll see what happens with these Longbeard XR loads through that Carlson's Longbeard 660 choke in the 500. I've got good hopes for it if the 1 7/8 ounce payload shells do what I know they can do. So let's take our shot and see what happens. Alright, that shell gave us 11-12 through the chrono. Boss claim is only 1,050 for these, but this is not at all unusual. Mid 1100s is typically what we do get from them, so nothing out of the ordinary, and still a little over 1100 is perfectly fine. But did they actually pattern well down there at 40? Let's go check it out and see. Okay, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and we see some pretty interesting looking results here. Right off the bat, yes, we were high, which is rather interesting. I'm finding that the Mossberg 500 in particular is really picky with changing different chokes and loads when it comes to turkey patterning especially. Sometimes we're right on the money, other times we're left, other times we're right, sometimes we're up or down, and I have a lot of experience behind that Mossberg 500, so I know where it should be hitting, and this particular choke and load combo definitely favored high. That's why you always test with the setup you plan to hunt with before just taking it out in the woods. Now yes, we do still have a dead turkey. There's one through the brain and a couple more down the spine that would have done the job. However, if we would have centered that up, it would absolutely be 40-yard capable for sure. But backing up here and looking at the pattern as a whole, it's definitely a bit more on the broad and even side compared to what we see from a lot of Longbeard XR loads. And that's kind of been the common denominator here with the 1 7/8 ounce payload. We tend to see a lot more broad patterns than we do those screaming tight core like we get with the 1 3/4 ounce loads. So if you like tight patterns, the 1 3/4 ounce is the way to go, but this is still a very huntable combination at the 40 yards all day long. Not nearly as tight as what we know a Longbeard can get, but it's a very nice even spread of pellets. If we drew one nice circle around that core area, I don't think there would be very much for voids in there at all. It's a nice even spread. It's going to give you leeway to work with, but it's not completely blown all over the place either. As we get to the outer edges, we might pick up a couple voids, mainly kind of over here off the top left. So around the edges, it isn't perfect. We definitely threw some flyers down here low for sure. There's one all the way down there towards the bottom edge of the paper. So it's not perfect, but it is still a very huntable combination. We know Longbeard XR shells can give us way better than that, but this still isn't too bad. And I can tell you, based on what I've seen previously from these particular shells and some other Longbeards that actually had issues from the factory, these shells are performing just fine as far as quality control goes. The 1 7/8 ounce payload ones just seem to have a little bit more open of a spread. If these shells were duds from the factory, we would cover that entire paper and it would look like a waterfowl pattern. And I have run into that before, mainly with the NWTF boxes and the 50th anniversary boxes. So So overall here today, not a bad pattern by any means, but it's probably about what I expected to see for these particular shells. I like how even it is, and I definitely wouldn't hesitate to run that to 40 yards. So not bad at all for today's results. Some people are really going to like having that little bit more even of a spread, a little more breathing room to work with. Other people are going to want that tight core. Either way of thinking is perfectly fine, but I would say for a Longbeard load, it's pretty middle of the road overall. We know we can get way tighter from them, that's for sure. And here's the wad from that shell, and it looks a little bit beat up, that's for sure. Kind of looks like it was run over by a lawnmower, which isn't too uncommon for these Longbeard wads. They are pretty thin, so nothing too out of the ordinary there. But you can see we've got a good amount of buffer material and 5 or 6 pellets stuck down in there as well. Not something we usually see from these Longbeard loads. Not uncommon to have a little bit of buffer material down in there, but I don't think I've ever run across one that had pellets still sitting in it. So I don't think that completely ruined our pattern today, but it's pretty interesting that I don't think we've ever run across that before. But you can get a good idea on what that buffer material looks like and how it breaks apart, kind of like glass, when it's fired, as well as those nice shiny copper plated pellets. So pretty interesting that that happened. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that combo right there? It's okay. It's a perfectly usable, perfectly huntable 40-yard turkey pattern. That's gonna do the job any day of the week, don't get me wrong. For a Longbeard load though, the 1 3/4 ounce payload ones are definitely gonna give you a better pattern than what that does. Some people might really like that pattern. Some people might really prefer the little bit more leeway. But when it comes to Longbeard, I like to see those nice, tight, hot cores that they can give us. So not terrible for a result all day long. That's plenty usable enough. So it'll probably just be up to personal opinion more than anything else with that kind of performance. So leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these 1 7/8 ounce Longbeard loads? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? Is that a combo you would use if you're getting that kind of performance? Or would you prefer to see it a little bit tighter? And maybe what other combos do you want to see me run? Either the Longbeard loads, or what shells do you want to see me put through that Mossberg with that Carlson's 660 choke? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.